Well, when I came back in the fall of 1970, I was in my fourth year in the college. I was the student council president. We actually thought that we needed to recapture that energy. And I actually remember that we called for a rally on the steps of the rotunda, and a limited number of students showed up.
3 or 4 years later, there was no remnants of that left. I mean, I remember talking to a student in 1974, 1975, and she hadn't really heard anything about this. I mean, it was like a foreign thing to her.
3 months later, summer went, people left, they came back, and they focused on the next big issue.
I think that what had happened during the summer is there'd just been such an explosion of energy that folks were turning inward again.
There was really, I don't have any recollection of talking about the war again or all that went on, in early May, just a few months before that.
But then that was a signal to me that, well, we're back to focusing on some other issues within our own university. We had our first coeducation class in the college. How do we assimilate that?
Virginia Progressive Party kept on working, for that year, but then by the end of that year, we kind of faded out because we had accomplished everything we had set out to do. We had coeducation. There was a lot of work being done for Black recruitment, minority recruitment.
I remember my dad saying, he said, I have two words as a response to that. I said, okay, what's that, Dad? He goes, spring fever. And so he, his view of it was just a way of kids getting outside and acting out and having, getting a break.
I can't overstate the generational divide and the angst that are on the two sides of the anti-war and pro-Nixon side.
And I said, oh no, Dad, you are wrong. This is important. This is meaningful. We're having an impact. We're stopping the war. We're doing this, we're doing that. He goes, spring fever.
But at the time, it was a generational divide that seemed very strong. And, it was very hard to convince anybody. It was like, people would say, love it or leave it. You love the country or leave the country. Don't criticize it.
Actually, every generation, when you look at the issues they confront, can be great for themselves and for their community. And I do think at the time, those of us who were pressing for good change for the university certainly did good things. And we saw good results. And that's an important word, results. We were not just blindly making noise and bouncing around. We wanted to see things happen.
So I think what the significance of that spring was simply the beginning of a realization that the school was really dramatically changing its nature.
And I think what the strike did was sort of accelerated the pace. It really just pushed the university into a more modern era.
We felt like we were doing something. We did what we could do, and we were part of a movement of, especially of young people, joined by older people who supported us. But our generation really acted in unity to come out against the war and put as much pressure as we could on the administration.
We all look back on that with enormous amount of pride and fondly. It was a heck of a way to end your fourth year.